Welcome everybody to the Monthly Movie Dispatch, the show where we get together every month and we talk about the movies that we liked and we disliked and what we'd recommend, what we wouldn't recommend. The thing that differentiates us from the other 100,000 movie-related shows on YouTube and the rest of the internet is that we're high school friends and we'd be talking about movies even if no one was listening. I'm Nick Moffat and I'm in Marysville, Washington. We've got Brandon Bowlby in New York.
How's it going?
We've got Derek in Everett.
Hello.
Everett, Washington, sorry. And Sean Bowlby in Seattle.
Hey. Hey.
So, how you doing, guys? How's the month been for you?
It's been a really good month in film. I think we have some super solid picks this time.
Yeah.
I'm really happy
I think so. I think so too, man. The thing is, though, all of our movies are like super indies. Like, we don't really have any big movies to talk about. We're still in the lockdown. I mean, I don't want to say we're locked down as much, but coronavirus is still running wild, and movie theaters aren't really open. I mean, some of them are, but we're not going to them, at least around where we're at. And so, yeah, we picked 4 movies that are available for anyone to watch at home, and we're going to review them, talk about them, and also we have a film club segment. But before we get going, I've got some warm-up questions for you guys. So who's ready for your warm-up questions?
Let's do it.
I'm ready.
Great. Okay, so the first one is Ron Howard themed because Brandon picked a Ron Howard movie for his pick, which he did change, but we'll talk about that later. Apollo 13 or A Beautiful Mind? Go.
Apollo
Beautiful
13.
Mind.
Man, yeah, I feel like I like Apollo or Beautiful Mind more, but I haven't seen either in
I haven't
really
seen
long time.
Beautiful Mind since it came out, but yeah. Apollo 13 was like my favorite movie for a good chunk of years back in the day, and it really holds up. It's so entertaining.
So you're going to Apollo 13?
Yeah, definitely.
Nick?
Me too. That's to me, Apollo 13 is a perfect movie. So
Anyone seen A Beautiful Mind since high school, though?
I haven't seen
I watched
either
a little
of them
bit of
since
it.
high school.
Shannon watched A Beautiful Mind fairly recently, and I think I watched a little bit of it. It's more melodramatic than I remember. I mean, in high school it was kind of, it was. I think I got more swept into the melodrama in high school, and now I'm,
More self-aware about it.
Back in high school, it was like #deep.
In high school, I think I got caught by a lot of Oscar bait. You know what I mean? Like, if the movie was coming out and looked good, it was going to be good.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay, so next one is related to Kajillionaire, another movie we're going to talk about on the episode. The actor that's in it, Richard Jenkins, I think, at this point, it feels like he's only in good movies. So here's 3 Richard Jenkins movies that are more on the quirky side. And you have to choose which movie you like him best in. Not the movie, but you got to think, which movie do you like him the best in? So, The Shape of Water, Burn After Reading, or Cabin in the Woods?
Cabin in the Woods.
What movie I like him best in? That's such a hard question. He's also not a lead.
He's so good in The Shape of Water.
I was going to say Shape of Water, but also it's
After
one I saw
Reading
most
is
recently, so...
Yeah. I guess I got to go with The Shape of Water, but I love Burn After Reading. I love him in Burn After Reading. One of the funniest, most gruesome deaths.
Yeah. Spoiler. But
I've never laughed so hard at someone being hacked to death.
In the middle of the street.
Brutally hacked to death by a hatchet in the middle of the street in broad daylight.
In broad daylight.
Just hysterically laughing.
Yeah. I agree. And I think he's such a sad part of that movie too. Like he's just a bystander that's gets caught up in this terrible situation.
Is he her boss? I'm trying to remember which character.
Yeah, he is Francis McDormand's boss at Hard Bodies and Brad Pitt's boss.
He's so in love with her, and he just keeps being like, I just think you're perfect the way that you are. And she's like, why are you ruining my dreams? So, yeah, cool. Okay, so if you thought that last question was hard, this one might be even harder because honestly, I don't even know where you guys stand on this director. But this one is David Cronenberg related. So, because we're covering one of his son's movies. Sean Cronenberg. No, Brandon Cronenberg. Sorry, got the wrong Colby.
What?
Wait, was that serious?
Did you plan that?
I didn't plan that, but it did come into my head and I said it. The Fly or Videodrome? Have you guys seen Videodrome?
I haven't seen
have not seen
Videodrome.
Videodrome.
Okay.
The Fly is amazing.
The Fly or A History of Violence?
The Fly.
History of Violence.
Yeah, The Fly. I haven't seen History and Violence in a long time now.
I saw it in theaters and I haven't seen it since.
I have a bunch of Cronenberg movies here. I was just going to keep cycling through them until
Yeah.
you guys
Such a prolific director.
He has made a bunch of movies. I watched 3 or 4 of his movies this month or last month for Horror Movie Month, and I'm just becoming more and more of a fan. I mean, we could talk about it more when his movie comes when his son's movie comes back around. But his son definitely takes after him in the uncomfortable body horror sort of universe. Anyway, let's just jump right into the episode then. Our first segment is going to be our film club segment, which is the monthly experience where we each, every month we take turn. Someone gets to pick a movie from any year, any genre, any sort of their choosing, and we all are forced to watch it. The difference with the other movies that we cover on our show is that the rest of them are 2020 movies or the current year, and we're not as forced to watch them, so we don't all have to watch the rest of the 4, but for film club, that's like a gentleman's agreement that we're going to watch the movies. So it was actually my pick this month. So I went ahead and picked a movie called The Lady from Shanghai. The Lady from Shanghai is a Orson Welles movie that came out in 1947, I think. And the reason I picked it is because it's a noir. It's a film noir, and I like to participate in Noir November, as you might call it. And I'm not really like committing too hard on it right this month because I'm kind of burnt out from Horror Movie Month and I got a lot of other things going on. But I did want to watch a couple film noirs, and The Lady from Shanghai is one of my favorites. So real quick, I'm just going to read the plot summary from IMDb. Fascinated by gorgeous Mrs. Bannister, seaman Michael O'Hara joins a bizarre yachting cruise and ends up mirrored in a complex murder mystery. So yeah, that sounds like
mirrored, Nick.
Yeah, mirrored. Yeah,
mirrored.
Yeah. Pun there a little bit. I don't know if that was
Spoilers.
Yeah, I don't know if that was purposeful or not. It also says on IMDb that Orson Welles is uncredited director. That can't be right.
Huh.
Right?
But it
everyone
doesn't
knew he
list a
directed it,
credited director.
No. So I don't know. IMDb can be weird sometimes. Anyway, so I don't know. Like I said, I picked this because of Noir November, and also I don't think any of you guys had seen this movie. And like I said, it's one of my favorite noir movies. And I don't think it's a perfect movie. I think it can be really sloppy in some parts, but I kind of love it for that a little bit. There's a lot of like backstage drama that went along with this movie. Orson Welles cast himself as the main character, and then Rita Hayworth is the femme fatale in the movie. And they were married at the time, but they were kind of on the rocks, and they were in the middle of getting divorced. So when they were finished recording, they like finalized their divorce. The other thing was he made her chop off her long red hair and dye it blonde, which kind of like, screwed up her whole image. Like she was she was a big, symbol.
Famous redhead.
Yeah, and cutting off her hair was like a lot of people were really surprised and shocked that she did that. Also, like Orson Welles was beefing with the producers throughout the whole shoot. It was a long shoot, like on the boat. Like all the boat stuff in this movie went on way longer than they thought, and the producer wanted him to do reshoots, and he kind of refused. And then he did, but then he didn't really shoot much, and people were getting sick, and it was a whole weird mess. But either way, I don't mean to be talking about the backstage drama too much. I really love the like noir aspects of this movie. Like I love how Orson Welles gets infatuated by this femme fatale immediately, and he's so drawn to her, and it's like right from the get go, it's like he is doomed just because he met her. Like, and all these things keep happening to him. Like a murder plot happens and he goes along with it, even though he knows he's being set up, but he still like goes along with it. And then there's twists and turns, but ultimately it's a noir, so it ultimately ends in like a lot of like nihilist like, oh well, what was the point of any of this sort of thing. But I also love the dialogue in it. Like I love the dialogue. So anyway, I'm pretty eager to hear about what you guys think. So, so what do you think of The Lady from Shanghai?
I thought the ending was incredible, Nick.
Oh, yeah.
So experimental.
In the Hall of Mirrors?
Weird and different. The Hall of Mirrors, it just like switched into full-on crazy Orson Welles mode. And like, I couldn't believe it, like how stylized that ending became. It was really impressive. It like totally, because I don't know Orson Welles all that well, but it totally reminded me of the entirety of The Other Side of the Wind. Like that 5-minute scene is the entire 2 hours of The Other Side of the Wind of just constant experimentation and visual storytelling like that. And so that was cool to see like that direct line between 40s Orson Welles and 70s Orson Welles, like last film being so clear. Definitely the same director. I get what you're saying. It felt a little messy. The editing was kind of a little weird. The movie goes at a lightning pace, and people are like speaking their hearts on their sleeves just to like move to the next scene, so you know what's going on. I don't think that's the line, but you get what I'm saying. So the dialogue is a bit funky and choppy for me at times because they're just like spilling out the next bit of information before they rush off to the next location. It's hard for me sometimes to tell with 40s movies and previously like what the quality actually is for the time period because I don't know movie history that well. But anyways, this movie was fascinating, mixed bag. Overall, I think I really enjoyed it, but it maybe had some kooky early cinema things that seemed a little amateurish.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. The Hall of Mirrors thing is really what like sold me on this movie 100%. Like when I first watched it, I was enjoying it. I remember it was like 2016, and I watched. I was doing like a big noir thing. Like I watched like 20 of them, and I was like, all right, this is cool and all. And then the Hall of Mirrors happened, and I was like, that was one of the coolest endings of like any movie. Like I loved it so much. And since then, like I went back and watched it like a couple weeks later. Like I watched it like back to back, and I like kind of just like fell in love with the movie, like I kind of get swept up in the noirness of it and the dialogue stuff. I think that a lot of that is the time period sort of stuff because I think people just kind
films back then.
Yeah, people wrote movies in a different way back then, and they were kind of just, I don't know. I actually have a few pieces of dialogue I was gonna like just say like, oh, how about this line, guys? Because I thought
stiff is the word comes to mind. Everything they're saying is very rigid.
Yeah. What about you guys?
Yeah, I kind of agree with both of you guys. A little, it was definitely a little rough, but like there was an interesting like inevitability of the movie where it is almost like everyone knows that he's being set up, and he knows, the audience knows, like, and so it like kind of puts you on this interesting edge throughout the movie, but like nothing that he does is really out of character or is something like why would you, it's not, he's not like intentionally, obviously walking into a trap. It feels like he's making, reasonably intelligent decisions throughout the movie, even though he is like continuing to move further and further into this inevitable plot that is coming. And a really that made like this really interesting tension throughout the movie. And then just like the movie was so fast paced. It's a pretty short movie. It's under 90 minutes, but like so much happens, and like they're just all over the world, and
through jail,
and like
through a court case,
through
a murder mystery,
just
keeps
like
going
so
further.
Much
and further.
happens, and it feels like one thing I often think of as like the epitome of fast-paced big storytelling is like DC AU shows, episodes, and movies. And like this movie kind of felt like that. It was just like there's so much happening in such a short amount of time, and it's just like it's almost just a whirlwind of crazy storytelling. And just again, to reiterate how awesome that ending is pretty cool. And it's also I've actually worked on several shoots and a movie that was heavily based on that scene, and like a lot of that kind of mirror stuff. And I had never seen this movie, but I knew that it was all based on this movie. So it was really cool to actually see what we were going for. And it's some pretty intense, like it's a lot of setup time in shooting those kinds of mirror scenes.
I believe it. You have to watch out for those mistakes and camera shots and stuff.
Yep. Getting the camera set perfectly and then getting each individual mirror set up perfectly is very difficult.
Derek, what about you? How are you doing with not just The Lady from Shanghai, but with film noir?
I don't know. It comes and goes, hit and miss. I don't know. I was really just not into this movie until that very ending scene too. I don't know. I really had a hard time getting through the movie. I'm not gonna lie. I fell asleep like 3 times, and then I'd restart. I'd like rewind it and start up.
Brutal.
It was a rough. Like I watched a lot of movies in a short amount of time, and this was the first of them, and it was like right after work too. I think just everything lined up where I was just not gonna have a great time watching the movie, but. It's always good. It's always fun to see Orson Welles do stuff, just knowing how important he's been in cinema and just storytelling in general. So it's hard. I had a fun time still. I definitely enjoyed the movie, but there's just not a lot I can really compliment, I guess. I just wasn't digging a whole lot of anything in particular until the ending there. But
Fair enough.
All right.
I have a bone to pick.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Orson Welles so he cast himself in this role. He's got a pretty handsome face, like he's got a handsome mug, but he seemed to have like a kind of a big belly under there, and I feel like the character he's supposed to play is some like smoking hot like sailor guy that she can't help but really like. And
you have a gut?
I feel like
I think he did.
He needed to get a little more in shape, and because he was the director, he probably didn't give a shit.
yeah, I mean that was his thing,
pick
right?
up on that.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that.
Probably weren't really looking.
Like,
but
I don't know. I mean, maybe.
I didn't.
He never took his shirt off. Or I don't know. I wasn't really paying too much attention to his physique, but I kind of got the sense that like it didn't really matter too much what he looked like because he was getting played by people either way, And I mean, he says in the beginning, like he fights off those guys in the beginning, but then he was like, "Yeah, normally I wouldn't do that. I'm not very good at this kind of thing. I don't know what happened." So
there was some line talking about his appearance in there, and that's when I double checked, and then I was like,
I will
cast
say,
himself
like,
just so he could be in there.
I definitely kept thinking, like, just what a weird guy this like character is. But like, I kind of that actually worked for me, like how he was going through everything, and like, I don't know, yeah, women are attracted to him. He's still like, he just played such a weird character, I thought. But it's like a half Irish accent or something.
Oh yeah,
What a weird accent.
yeah, not
Couldn't figure it out.
the best accent.
I think he was
but-
supposed to be Irish. I think they say he's
Yeah.
Irish a couple times.
Yeah.
It was fun.
I don't know, we were talking about court movies last month, and I forgot how much fun this court scene was. Like, I had such a ball with this court scene. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous, like how like he's on trial for murder, but the guy who's representing him is the guy who died's partner, like business partner, and meanwhile Orson Welles is also in love with his lawyer's wife, and the lawyer knows it, but the lawyer also never loses cases, so he wants to win, but he also wants to lose so that the guy can be killed, he can be executed. So
I think that guy might have been my favorite character too.
Oh my gosh,
That,
he was
and
great.
like when
his like weird
he
eye.
cross-examines
Yeah.
himself.
That was a
When
fun.
he
Line.
cross-examines himself in court.
I like how in the fiction of this movie, or just in 40s films, calling a witness to the stand in and of itself is a twist. Like some unexpected event of calling a new witness up to the stand. And that's just absolutely not how like courts can work at all.
I mean, I don't know if courts.
Surprise witness.
I mean, we should look into this. I don't know. Like, there were a lot of things that happened in that courtroom for like in 1947. Could you do that in court? I mean, even the whole murder plot where the guy was like, if I pay you to kill me, not really kill me, like I'll disappear, but everyone will think that you killed me, and but you can't get arrested for it because the body won't be around. Like, I don't know if that's a real thing. I don't know if that ever was a real thing, but it doesn't sound like a real thing.
I know a lot of other movies have like talk about that you can't, if they don't find a body to say for sure that you were dead, you can't be tried for murder. Like that is something that other movies, more modern movies, have, which kind of makes sense because like,
yeah,
if someone just like leaves and bails on his family or something, everyone thinks he's dead, and then like I don't know, kind of makes sense.
Yeah, but the whole thing with
Can't
this
fund a
movie
whole
was
trial
that
around something with no evidence.
if you can't confirm,
yeah, but the whole thing with
that
this movie though
someone
was
has
that he
died.
was going to confess that he had murdered somebody.
That's true.
And then they were going to be like, yeah, but we don't have a body, so we think your confession's BS. Like, that just seems kind of weird to me. Like,
Yeah, that
but-
does seem weird.
like if someone goes missing in real life and then someone comes into the police station and goes, hey, that person that's missing, I killed them. I want to confess. I'm going to write my name down and confess.
like the cops aren't going to be like, prove it.
Prove it. Find the body. Well, there is no body. I burned it. It's in the incinerator. Like, I don't think, but,
Yeah.
I see.
yeah,
what
I
you're
know,
saying,
maybe. Yeah, totally.
either way, like, and then the whole cross-examination thing was like very just like, I don't know if you can put the defending lawyer on trial and then can he really interview himself, like cross-examine himself, like, but very funny though. We can move on though. I'm glad you guys watched it. Sounds like there's a bit of mixed reactions, but I mean, I think just the mirror scene alone, and for it being a quick, fast-paced movie, Leave It from Shanghai is worth watching, and it's on Amazon Prime. So if you want to get further into film noir, 50s, very popular genre in the 40s and 50s. Leave It from Shanghai is one of my faves. So with that, let's move on to our first 2020 pick. Our first movie we're going to talk about today is Sean's pick. Sean, do you want to kick us off with that?
Sure can. So the movie I picked was the 40-year-old version, not virgin, but the 40-year-old version. IMDb synopsis is Rada is a down-on-her-luck New York playwright who is desperate for a breakthrough before 40. Reinventing herself as a rapper, Rodimus Prime, she she vacillates between the worlds of hip hop and theater in order to find her true voice. So yeah, this movie for me, it kind of had me worried a little bit in the beginning. And I felt like the movie had to, and actually in the end did end up winning me over. So the thing that I had a hard time with it for this movie is I typically have a hard time with the struggling, starving artist trope. Like those stories, because too often they're, some narcissistic, pretentious, arrogant artist who is just like so mopey and is just like, why doesn't the world, why can't the world just accept me for can't just accept my art? And, it's a little too like, it's a little too arrogant for me too often. But I think what this movie did that got me into it is something that most of those movies never do, and that is they ask the question, why does this character feel this way? And I feel like too many of those movies, just like you're supposed to take for granted that they're God's gift to art, they're God's gift to film. And as the viewer, you're just supposed to accept that. And I think this movie didn't do that. It made the movie about why she feels this way. Why is she stuck? Why does she feel so strongly that she needs to be a writer or that she needs to express her voice? And I think the movie did a really good job of like kind of juggling those two ideas. On one hand, she is like pretty down on herself and pursuing this career in hip hop, while meanwhile selling out her art, selling out her play to kind of a douchey playwright who's making all these changes and kind of compromising her vision. And I thought it like balanced that really well and in some really interesting ways. And I feel like it did a really great job of building her character into that. I also I thought the movie had a lot of really interesting like side narratives, all this stuff with her students and like her kind of secondary job. I thought was really fun. Whereas like in a lot of other movies, you'll often see that the artist is in some dead end job that they hate and they get no fulfillment out of, and they're just all mopey about their day job. Whereas in this movie, it really felt like she enjoyed her students. There was still a little bit of mopiness there, but she really enjoyed what she was doing with her students. She liked that she was getting through to her students, and there was a really fun relationship that was built up between her students and herself.
I know what you mean. As opposed to being just like some like waiter.
Yeah,
just a total dead end service job.
Yeah, totally. I do think like the movie was a bit rough around the edges. And there was some stuff that I wasn't too. I don't know if the decision to shoot the movie on film did the movie any favors. But yeah, there's a few bones we could pick and get kind of nitty gritty. But I really enjoyed the movie. I thought there was a lot of really fun characters, a lot of really fun scenes, and a lot of really interesting ideas.
On the same vein as the last thing you just said, I also don't know if it did this film any favors filming in black and white.
Yeah.
Especially with it changing to color at the like pivotal moment where she's finally like relaxed and accepting herself, and the film can like move from black and white to color. It was just like too on the nose, and I think the director wanted that moment to happen so much that they had to have the whole movie in black and white to do that cool creative ending, which I didn't think was that creative.
I guess I thought it was she really wanted to shoot this movie on film, and all she could afford was black and white film.
Oh, maybe.
Kevin Smith style.
That's usually how these things tend to go, but yeah, maybe that's what she wanted.
Either way, you're kind of talking about the same thing, whether or not it did it favors or not.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about the film aspect of it, but I was like, why is this movie in black and white? Like, it kind of initially took me out of it, like just on like a pretentious sort of level of like, why? I just kept thinking like, why is this in black and white? And
because she's in black and white.
It's
for most of the movie.
It's like more work that the storytelling has to do now to get us out of that fog.
Yeah, and
it was like, why is it
just a lot of awkward, really dark scenes, and
Yeah.
I don't.
I guess
so.
I think I'm maybe going to be the most harsh on this film. I'm Derek for The Lady from Shanghai on this film. But
you fell asleep like 4 times.
I didn't fall asleep at all, actually. I watched it pretty well straight through. But for me, this movie was pretty meh. It obviously, I think it had a lot of interesting ideas and things that it could develop. And I think she could have like a pretty like interesting career going forward as a filmmaker. Like, I don't think the movie was garbage and there was a lot going on here, but I just had like too many like issues with some amateurness in the storytelling, in the cheesiness of some things that were happening. Like the weed scene on her first rap battle out just like felt really, I don't know.
Brandon,
just
I
like
almost turned off the movie at that scene, honestly. Like I literally put my head down on the desk and I like couldn't watch it. Like I turned the volume like pretty low down, and then I like was like actually now I think about it, I skipped ahead. I got so awkward, and I know it's supposed to be awkward, but it was like that sitcom awkwardness that you get where like Michael Scott sort of like, oh, this just isn't fun to watch, it's just hurting me. And
it just wasn't fun to watch. It was so obvious. It felt so dumb. And obviously like no one, like people smoke pot. She smokes pot. She knows what it does to her, and she would not do it if she didn't want to, or she would be totally fine taking one hit of like, it was just so extreme. Anyways, that's just one part of it.
I don't know about that. Like you might like do it because you think you'll take the edge off, but then it'll make you really paranoid or something. Like I could see from a character perspective,
but then it also made her so paranoid in the dumbest way possible. That was took me out of the movie. Like you said, you turned off the sound, Nick. It was so bad. Okay. But yeah, you liked the side character, Sean. I thought there was, even for 2 hours, there was a lot of like tangents, like her love relationship. Like I didn't know if it really meant much or went anywhere, and they spent too much time on it. And even the students in the school, like I don't necessarily know if that drama between the two kids that was having a fight was like too much tangent for me. I really liked other things, like her relationship with her best friend that she had their whole life. Like every scene they had together was so strong, and I wish they had like, that could have been the like most of the movie was that developing. Her scene with her going home with her brother and that painting on the wall, I really liked her reflecting back on her mom. But that was just like also a really narrow sliver of the development. I think the movie had too many side characters for me, and I wish it had focused more on, there's also the huge rap battle plot. There's also the huge like script plot. It was just a lot happening. Anyways, I'll pass this on to someone else, but I thought the movie was pretty meh, a little amateurish, a lot of ideas, but I couldn't get too into it.
I think like sometimes it takes a movie like brings me into like a weird zone where the amateur-nish of it is like I kind of enjoy. And this movie kind of got to that point. I also was kind of worried, like the first 20 minutes, I was like not really sure what to think of the movie, if I was really going to enjoy it or not. Yeah, a lot of questions. Why is it in black and white? What's going on? But I thought was so charming and like funny, and like after about 20 minutes, I was just like, I'm like, it's not that long a movie. Like I'm in. Whatever we're gonna do here, I'm in. And I don't know. It's kind of, sometimes it's just nice to see someone that charming, knowing she wrote, directed, acted, and like you kind of see like where the shortfalls are in like her abilities there. And like, but then you see how the stuff that really works, like kind of gives, I don't know, it feels like you're learning while you're watching it about her as a person too, as well as this character that she's telling a story of. And so it's like, like you mentioned, like her future projects, like she could have a pretty good career as whatever she ends up doing, film director or whatever. But So it's fun. It's sometimes that the amateurnish of it adds like another level of enjoyability when you can see like where they're coming from and like what they're trying to do, and like and see that they seem to be doing it for like the right reasons, kind of, you know. But as far as the actual content of the film, yeah, there was a bunch of moments like that sprinkled throughout that just were kind of cringy and weird. And I liked her and her friend's relationship, but I think this comes into like just the amateurnish of like the filmmaking. Like some of the scenes just felt like, I don't know if the audio was wonky or something. It just felt weird. Like they weren't coming out the way that they were trying to deliver lines and stuff, specifically from that, her best friend. There's just a couple moments in there. I don't have any like written down, but I just remember thinking like, it seemed like that didn't come out the way they wanted it to come out. But it never really pulled me completely out of the movie. It was just some of those rough edges, you know, and overall I really liked it. I thought she was really funny. Her raps were like, like really entertaining and like unexpected. And, I liked for most of the movie, her relationship with the producer guy, the rap producer, the guy making the beats.
Yeah, and I really liked the scene where she like where he takes her to that rap battle, and
yeah,
it's like, I don't know, a long scene, but it was really fun to watch.
Yeah, although it was fun, I still by the end I was like, why is he like doesn't give a shit that she keeps like blowing him off and like throwing him to the side for like this other career she doesn't care about, and he seems to not like care at all. Maybe it's just his personality. It just seemed kind of weird. And
see, I really liked their relationship. I got pretty into like their thing, and I mean, I think I'm with you guys for a lot of this. It sounds like all of us were pretty like, yeah, we enjoyed it. I mean, maybe not as much Brandon, but it sounds like, yeah, we enjoyed it, but there's some caveats and stuff, and like I kind of wanted more of them, you know, of their thing, and I really liked how. Because I really liked how they started, and he was just like an aloof producer who's like, fucking rappers come in here every day and I'm like sick of it. And, you know, she like comes in and she's like, can I like tell you about what I'm rapping? He's like, I literally don't care about what you're rapping. I just make the beats. Just do your thing. And then she does it, and it's like magic. You know, that's like what the movie is. That to me, what was so cool about this movie was how when she started rapping, it was like magic. You know, she was just so good at it, like for no reason. And like her raps were really good. And I think that's what, you know, he was like, she's something different. She's something special. Like even when they go to the rap battle with all the women, the female rap battle, like, it's like, they're all younger and stuff. Like I think that's why he keeps coming back. 'Cause he's like, your perspective is something that's no one else is doing right now. And, you know, I think my thing with the movie is that I think they could have trimmed out some of the drama and made it shorter and more fun, you know, like that whole scene. Like I mentioned, I didn't like the stone where she got stoned scene, you know, and but like if this had been more like a movie like Chef, you know the movie Chef with Jon Favreau, where he's you know, he gets the food truck. There's basically like no drama in that movie, but it's like really, really fun. I think this movie could have been just like that, where like the drama could have been between her and her best friend, and her best friend is like a career entertainer, sort of like agent person, and he's like, hey, you know, I got you this gig. I mean, you've been in New York long enough, you've been in the entertainment industry long enough, I got you this writing gig, and it's like this topical subject matter of gentrification, you know, like you wrote it, you know, and it's you know, it's for you. But like also you're selling out because they're not going to really write it from your perspective, and it's not going to be your vision. And like that, and then compare that with like this other guy that she's seeing and the producer and her really good raps that are like magic. And like, I think like if they had just kind of focused it more on those two things and how they, you know, that was the crux of the movie to me. Like that was what the movie was about, the, you know, her choosing between those two lives. But they could have stripped down the drama and made it more just like more concise about that, and leaned more into like the fun, charming aspects of it, instead of the like, wishy-washy type stuff. Like, I don't know, that was kind of what was frustrating for me about it, was how wishy-washy she was as a character. And I know, like, the whole movie was her dilemma, but still it seemed so obvious. It seemed like, come on, lady, just go rap.
I think
like,
that's the mopey stuff Sean was kind of talking
Well,
about. It's like,
Nick,
you have control here.
You just go ahead, Brandon.
You're being asked to be like on a higher budget off-Broadway play right now. And yeah, you're selling out. Everyone knows like what this takes. Your producer has warned you about it, and you go along with it, and then you're like, I don't know, still mopey about it and writing bad scenes all the way through. And like that stuff, that really frustrated me, her character and how it grew on that side of it, not the rap side, but her writing aspect of the career. And for me, that climax didn't really work for that half of the movie. And I just kept thinking, like, it's your choice, like, it's your fault. Just stop if you don't want to do it, but don't like complain the whole way. And then at the end, like,
keep doing it,
throw it in everyone's face and tell 1,000 people how shit this thing they've been working on is. Like, I don't know, that really frustrated me.
I guess like what I was gonna say is Nick just said, hey lady, why don't you just start go rap? Like, if that's what you want to do, just go do that. And like, on the other hand, I was like, I was more the opposite. I was like, just like stop with this, like, struggling artist routine and just work, like you have the ability to do something, even if it's not exactly perfectly your vision. Like, get paid. Like, you are so close to doing like your dream, but like, so you have to make some sacrifices. Just like you need to work. You can't you can't do your dream. You can't make your vision if you're not able to pay your rent or get food, or and so like, you could kind of look at it both ways. And that's what I thought was interesting about the movie, where it's like, and I liked the process of how the movie showed her slowly compromising her vision,
Yeah.
It wasn't that she was just like, on one hand, she wasn't turning down all these, paid, well-paying jobs to go start this dumb rap career. And it wasn't that she was all, it wasn't all that she was just so strict about her vision.
Right.
It was like played in this interesting, like, why is she compromising her vision?
Well, like,
Why
there's
is
that
she
I'd agree
doing
with
scene,
all
right?
that, Sean.
Why,
if she
I felt
hadn't have
like
stood
all
up
that
on
stuff was-
stage, yeah, like I agree with everything you said, except for the fact that they had her stand up on stage and like ruin everyone's night. And she, like, I don't feel like she learned it, as opposed to just going and doing what she wants.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, I don't feel like she learned her lesson.
She
She like shoved it in everyone's face.
Yeah. Well, not everyone's. I mean, maybe everyone's face. But
She wants to be a rapper now. You gotta shove stuff in people's
no,
faces sometimes.
I mean, not
don't
even
you?
that. Like, that guy was a douche, and I mean, obviously, it maybe as Brandon, you said earlier when we were playing Fortnite, a little too obvious of a douche, a little on the nose douchey, but he was a giant douche. And
Don't you think people like that exist in real life as producers and stuff?
No people.
And
like that.
like, for me, I was watching, I'm like, yeah, that guy deserved to get told off a bit. I don't think she like tanked the whole play. I don't think they're going to cancel the show, the night before, or I don't know. I don't think that was opening. Is it? What do you call that, Brandon? It's like a pre-opening
Soft open.
night or whatever. Anyways,
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to cancel the whole run of the show because of this speech she gave in front of friends and family. But that guy deserved to be told off, and she did it, and I thought it was a good moment.
Sean, hopping off of what you were saying before about the process of it, there was that one scene that I thought was like super interesting where they were casting for the play, and people who had read the script previously, like the same script, same concept, came to try out for it, and they were like, "Oh, these are the changes you made. Are you sure you're okay with these changes?" And then they were talking about them during the casting process, and she like had to like kind of step back and play more of the like producer role a little bit of like, you know, trying to appease both sides. And it's like, I don't know, you don't really see that sort of like casting, like, you know, see a character really like compromise in that like small of a way, I guess. Like you really, you know, that was
like
a good
just
point.
as simple
you made,
as changing the accent was, I
Yeah.
think, the scene you're talking about. They're talking about why she's changed her accent, and she was the only character in the movie who, or in the play who changed their accent and was doing, I forget what kind of accent she was doing, but kind of a pretty stereotypical accent, and I thought that was a really interesting scene.
Yeah.
And like how the director was responding to it, and how the producer and the director were both like, this is.
Yeah, and she had
exactly,
to be like,
that's.
well,
And it was it
you
was
know.
super awkward, and I actually enjoyed that part of it. So
Yeah, I like that too.
movie.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely enjoyed this movie. I thought it was definitely worthwhile, and especially like, I don't know, I have to say, like the fact that like it was this movie about being like a, you know, black woman in her mid 40s or whatever, like, or maybe she just turned 40, but
39.
like,
she was turning 40,
just,
I believe.
you know, just like you don't really get a lot of movies even from like her sort of perspective, especially in the entertainment industry. So like, you know, that alone like makes it a little more worthwhile in my book than some of these other like, you know, struggling artist movies. I think we should move on to the next movie, guys. I say thumbs up though. The 40-year-old virgin, the 40-year-old version, and that's on Netflix. So if you're into if you want to try out like a New York City movie about an artist, check it out. It's on Netflix. Our next movie is that's my movie. I didn't realize I was next. So
You scared yourself, Nick.
Yeah, I did. Oh boy. Well, I felt like I just did my movie, but like not this one, but anyway. So the movie I picked is called Kajillionaire. Real quick, I'm going to read the plot summary from IMDb. A woman's life is turned upside down when her criminal parents invite an outsider to join them on a major heist that they're planning. This is written and directed by Miranda July. I've never actually seen any of her other movies, but she's done. She's kind of known in indie circles for like her quirkiness, and I guess like her movies aren't for everyone, but if they are for you, then they like people really love the ones that you know that people love. I don't know. That was partly why I picked this movie, because it's getting like really good reviews. It was like getting a lot of buzz, but like also like this director, like I'd never seen any of her work, so I thought, you know, this could be really worthwhile. And you know, based on that plot summary, that's like all I knew about the movie going in. So I was expecting like a heist movie of some sort. You know, I was kind of thinking like maybe like Logan Lucky or something, you know, where it's not Ocean's 11, but it's like, you know, a little like, you know, offbeat sort of heist stuff. This isn't a heist movie like at all. I mean, it is a con man movie. So it's about these. Yeah, they steal stuff. So it's about this family. Like, it's Evan and Rachel Wood. Richard Jenkins is her dad, and her mom is played by. She's also famous. I should know her name. Deborah Winger. And so they're a little trio, and they basically are like extremely small time. Like con man crooks, kind of like in the beginning they are stealing from a mailbox, like from the post office, and Evan Rachel Wood sticks her hand into the mailbox and finds a package and pulls it out, and then they open it and there's like a tie inside, and it's like, oh great, this is worth like $25. Awesome, the $25 that we have now. And then they like use that to barter and stuff, and they like swindle someone very early on into taking they found the guy's watch, but they didn't really find it. They had stolen it. Then they return it, and then they're hoping for a reward, but the reward is a massage from the guy's daughter. And then they try to like get a refund on that from her, but she's like, you know, we don't expect. I'll give you cash refunds for a gift massage. This is the sort of movie it is, where it's like kind of like, where is this going? But it's all kind of like interesting and different. You know, it's pretty unique, and there are other unique things that happen. Like their setting is kind of weird. They're renting. I don't know if it's their house even, but they're renting this place next to a bubble factory, and bubbles come through the wall every single day, and they have to like clean it up. But also they're behind in their rent, and their landlord cries every time they can't pay it. He's just like bawling, like, I just need you to pay your rent. And it's funny though. Like this is like a, you know, it's a comedy, and it's very weird though. And so I don't know. I thought it was pretty interesting, and I definitely had a great time with it, and I got a lot out of it. Like I definitely, you know, Evan Rachel Wood's character is pretty like sad and like isolated, even though she has her mom and dad. And you know, it's a movie where she's kind of like figuring out like that there's more to life than her like, you know, small little family. So you know, what do you guys think?
I loved it. Was I said it feels like the embodiment of Mr. Walsh's tell a simple story and tell it well. But then I was second guessing if that was Mr. Walsh that said that or not.
No, that was Mr. Walsh for sure.
He used to say that? Okay, because it is
Tell a simple story, take a simple story and tell it well.
because it's so simple and so straightforward, and there's not like really anything complex to get into story wise, you know. But it's they fill it, like these characters are so full. Like I can tell you so much about everyone. Even that guy that cries, they like mention he has like a condition. He's like letting him know, like, you don't worry about the crying. I have a condition. And it's like, like we see him for, you know, 2 minutes in the movie, and we know that like this whole this weird relationship. He needs them to like get that out of, you know, pick up the soap, or else the building's gonna have structural issues and stuff. And it's just like that's a good example of everything across this movie. I feel like they pack so much like context and character into everything, and so that feels good. Like you just get a lot out of it, like you said. Overall, I like these kind of stories where I know Brandon had picked Hillbilly Elegy, and I haven't seen it, but it sounds like it's kind of like what they actually, she talks about it in the 40L version, like poverty porn, you know, where it's like really bringing it home how rough it is, you know, to be in poverty, and like I think this movie does a good job at not doing that. And they actively, there's a quote I pulled up, which is like where the title of the movie comes from. But it's like her dad is like explaining to her. I don't know if you want me to read the quote. It's pretty long. But,
yeah, read the quote.
Oh, he just says like, I can't remember what the situation was. She noticed that there's a new camera in the post office that they've been stealing from. And he's like, this is really bad. Once your face is in the system, they got you. Fines, 401k, home equity. But maybe you want all that. I don't know. Me, I just prefer to skim by. And she's like, so do I. He's like, do you? Oh, that's interesting, because most people want to be Kajillionaires. That's the dream. That's how they get you hooked on sugar, hooked on caffeine. And so it's like, I think that kind of embodies like their whole, that explains her father's like perspective. Like he knows the situation they're in, and he's totally fine with that. He knows he's so good at what he does that he knows that he'll be fine. He just wants to skim by. He doesn't want anything more than that. And I think that's a good like representation of that family, and it keeps it from falling into that like really cringe territory where they could just be like really shoving it down, you know, like really trying to hammer home that like, I don't know, the poverty part of this isn't a huge deal, even though it's like present in every aspect of their life, you know. I don't know. I just like that perspective. I think it's a more, what's the term? It's like a better way, not a better way, but it's like a more optimistic perspective to take when dealing with like this kind of subject. And they play on that in a lot of different ways too. Gina Rodriguez, her character is kind of like, it's a good. Yeah, she's great. And she's kind of like the opposite side of this, where she's been handed stuff her whole life. Like she has just so much stuff that she just it has no value to her. Anything does. We don't have to get into spoilers, but they kind of bring that home towards the end of the movie. They like, I don't know. I like how they integrated her storyline into this storyline in a way that paid off for everybody in the end too.
Well, there's something that I think we could say that's tangential to what you're saying without being a spoiler, in that like she has, a little bit of falling out with her parents, and it's due to like a lack of love or just their their lifestyle. And their parents try to gift her, like try to get her back maybe by giving her a gift for every birthday, like that, because that was part of their falling out, right? Is that she never had birthdays or whatever, and they gave her a gift for every birthday, and but that wasn't really like the complaint, though, right? Like the complaint wasn't really about the birthdays. It wasn't about the material possessions. It was more about the feeling of being loved, right? And I mean, Derek, I think you're spot on. The movie was really, really good at like pointing at that feeling of compassion and empathy and caring, rather than material things, or whatever.
Yeah, but I just really appreciated that perspective, and it was fresh and funny. Like, everyone was so good in it. Richard Jenkins again is so great in it. It was really surprising, turn for Evan Rachel Wood. She really channeled Jason Mewes is the only thing I could think of every time I see her walking around.
Like a quiet Jason Mewes, though,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Jason Mewes,
not like his attitude,
heroin,
but his look.
Yeah, totally.
Style.
Because Evan Rachel Wood's really pretty, she's a really attractive person, and she just was wearing baggy big coats and dark glasses, and all of her facial expressions were sunken,
long
and she just
hair that goes in front of her face.
Yeah,
and the low register.
Wait, she's the star of Westworld.
Yeah.
Also,
God, she transformed.
I didn't recognize her at all.
Oh my God.
Also, her name was Old Dolio, which
Old
is
Dolio.
Yeah.
In the story,
Just
the story behind the name was pretty heartbreaking. I thought too. I was
yeah.
Oh my God. But
I think I'll jump in there.
Yeah.
So I gotta say, this movie didn't really work for me. I don't have a whole lot to say about it, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I'm glad you guys really enjoyed it. But I think a lot of the quirkiness didn't work for me. Like, for example, the Old Dolio thing. I think a lot of the movie was going for this cute and quirky and trying to be unique and interesting, but all those cute and quirky things, or at least a lot of them, to me was just that's really fucked up, and it really put this barrier up, and wow, all those really the kind of cute and quirky things that the parents were doing, and a lot of things that they were saying, I was just that's horrible. I can't and it was this really bizarre kind of I don't know, duality that didn't really mix well for me, and it was just I don't know, the tones just didn't match up, and I just kept finding myself thinking this is so horrible.
She should be taken by Child
yeah.
Protective Services a long
for
time
sure.
ago.
And
For sure. There's no doubt.
Yeah, and it was just it just didn't really work. The cutie quirkiness of it just didn't click when the things that were supposed to be cute and quirky were so fucked up.
See, I wouldn't describe this movie as quirky at all, honestly. I don't think this movie was trying to do the thing that you're talking about. To me, you're kind of thinking that it was trying to be Juno or something, and it was, to me, it was a dark movie. It had to me, it was a lot of it was the tone of most of the movie was Evan Rachel Wood with a frown on her face, but then there were just weird things that were happening in her life that were also funny, but more from the outside, I don't know, I don't mean to be I don't really, I don't mean to argue with you, you read the movie, but I don't know. I didn't think this was like, I didn't think this was like a quirky comedy. You know, I didn't think it was one of those. I thought it was like, if you were looking for a quirky comedy, like, you know, Garden State or something like this, I didn't think this was even trying to be that. I think this had weird things that were happening in it that made the movie like surreal. And in that way, I kind of thought it was funny, like in more of like a David Lynch sort of way than a like Dablo Cody sort of way. But
what was that last movie you just said?
David
Diablo
Lynch.
Cody, and she's the
Or
Diablo Cody is the person that wrote Juno and a few other movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's an interesting take. I definitely was not seeing this movie as a surreal comedy. Like, the only thing to me that was surreal was the bubble thing, where that was like clearly metaphorical and didn't really make a whole lot of sense. But
What about the earthquakes?
yeah, I don't know. I just like, I was totally, and I didn't even see any. I didn't see a trailer or anything for the movie. I think it's just, I went into the movie not knowing anything about it, and I feel like that's just the movie that presented itself to me as this quirky, cute comedy, and obviously it's not exactly Juno, because Juno is a lighthearted, you know, kind of positive, fun movie, whereas obviously this movie is going for darker tones and more about loneliness and so not exactly Juno, but yeah, I do think it was, at least to me, it presented itself as a quirky comedy that, like, yeah, just didn't land because of that. And then, like, so not only that, were the parents just like really horrible to me. Old Dolio was such a closed off character that it was hard to even get into that. And I do want to bring up, I forget her name. Sorry. What's her name? The, oh shoot. No, the friend
Rodriguez.
that they meet. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Sorry, I missed what you. Anyways, I thought she brought a lot of like character to the movie, and I thought she was really fun. You know, it actually brought some personality that I could kind of buy into the movie. But, you know, I think she kind of came in a little too late and was merely in service of Old Dolio's character and in service of the story rather than being kind of the focus. And so I don't know. It kind of didn't work. I mean, and I was a little bit back and forth. The movie kind of did pull me in some scenes, and then it lost me right after, and then kind of pulled me back in a little bit. But yeah, I think for me, it just the tones didn't really work and didn't really come together.
I already felt that,
And-
because I'm
the
such the
ending
opposite on this one. Like, oh my God.
We're all over the place today.
Yeah, we're each taking terms. Like, Nick, you gotta be down on one of the next couple movies. It'll be perfect. So we can each take turns here. But I was pretty super into this movie, guys. Like, I loved it, and it had, like, to me, so many like countless special moments that were really touching and really creative. A couple that like stood out to me was even towards the opening, just like the massage scene that got you into her head as a character right away. I even remember specifically, there's the shot like underneath her as she's struggling to be touched and just like feeling so much emotion. And the shot like goes underneath the massage table. And in my head, I was like, this would be so perfect if a tear dropped towards the camera lens, and then it just balled up and then dropped straight at the camera, and it was just like really beautiful moment. And then like another favorite like scene, and I could go on and on, there's like 12 of these throughout the movie, but one of my favorite scenes is when they go to the old man's house, which just like has such a creative buildup of why they're even there in the first place, to do a con on these old men that she finds at her job, and they're going to steal antiques from. But they show up there and he's going to be dying, and his last wish is for them to pretend they're a real family in his home. And inside all that, you get this really like real life interaction for her first time where she has a real family to be with, our main character. and she like looks at her mom as a real mom, right before like it's all broken, all the characters are broken again, and the old man passes away, and then the dad goes straight back into like, I gotta like steal shit mode.
Because they were acting though.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah,
parents,
they're acting,
yeah.
but they're like, what it meant for her was so beautiful. And then God, there's the moment when she's sitting with the dying man, and she has this like really beautiful line about letting go of this fabric or whatever it is. Like death is so insignificant.
Yeah.
It should be so easy, just like letting go of a rope in between your fingers. And it was just like, it really took my breath away when she said that to that man. And there's just so many other things in the movie like that I loved over and over again.
I don't want to spoil it, but the
Yeah.
scene with the after the big earthquake, you know, I think that's going to stick with me for quite a while.
Psychedelic scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that scene was like pretty jaw dropping. I felt like, and right after it too, what happens and stuff like that was
Like when they walk out and stuff.
yeah, they walk out, and then like just what happens with her character too, like how it's a, you know, it's a big moment that changes her whole character, and you know, I totally bought into that.
What how did you guys feel with, I don't know how worried we are with spoilers, but like with the ending like sequence of events, I guess, and what that
clever.
said about her parents and people.
I thought it was
and,
pretty perfect, honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
I thought
too.
it was really cleverly
wasn't sure if it
written.
worked
It was
for everyone
almost
or
like a
not.
twist, even though it happened all within like 4 minutes
Yeah.
of itself. And it just like was just a perfect, charming, interesting ending of like, yeah, it was a great conclusion for
To me, it was almost like a film noir thing. Like I was talking about like fatalism with noir earlier, and like it was, of course that happened. You know, of course the ending happens that way, and like it was so true to everyone's character up to the point of like the price of the, you know, the stuff that they left behind. You know, like everything was like so like we're going to do this thing because we have to, because it's who we are. And like you know, then they were like, oh, okay, you revealed yourself to who you are, you're not going to change, but now I can make peace with that and I can do my thing. Like, you know, it was a little movie-ish, you know, like that would never happen in real life, but like, you know, this movie
the
wasn't
whole
trying to be
movie
real
is
life.
very like that. The music in this film is great, and there's so many times when the music comes in to like either transition a scene or to like move the pace forward, and it got me going. Like I was like kind of moving my foot a little bit, and there's a lot of great rhythm and like throughout this movie. Also, it was Angel Olsen does a cover of a song for this movie, and it's super, super beautiful. And it's just great direction on the score.
So, yeah, I mean, that's Kajillionaire. I feel like we could keep going on about it, but, you know, we have a few more movies to talk about, and, yeah, that's Kajillionaire. We rented it on Amazon Prime. What are they calling it? Premium rentals or
Early access, I think.
Early access. Basically, we paid $20 to rent this movie, but I mean, in a few weeks you won't have to pay $20. I'm assuming. Either way, keep your eye open for it. It's called Kajillionaire. It's available now if you want to pay $20. And you know, I don't regret paying that money. I mean, we all split it, but you know, it was a really solid movie in my opinion. And Brandon and Derek too. Sean was mixed on it. So let's move on to the next movie. Derek, next movie is your pick.
Yes, so I picked Save Yourselves. The plot synopsis for it is a young Brooklyn couple head upstate to disconnect from their phones and reconnect with themselves. Cut off from their devices, they miss the news that the planet is under attack. I picked it because I've seen both these actors before, and they're pretty small-time actors right now, but I really enjoyed them a lot in the little things I've seen them in, so I was excited to see them both together. And it looked like a fine, you know, just kind of charming little sci-fi movie. Overall, I thought the movie was fine. I don't know, like I wasn't busting up laughing, throughout it. It wasn't as funny as I was hoping it would be. I thought they kind of played it a little safe. I was kind of surprised, like it's rated R movie.
No way.
Yeah, and there's like no reason for it to be rated R. And I kind of wonder if something got taken
Just
out
the one
or something.
shot of the alien out when it was like by that truck. That
Right.
probably pushed over.
That's what I was kind of thinking. And I kind of feel like I wish they like went more in that direction. Like I kind of wish they played like it's just a little too light on everything for me. Like I wish they either went harder into the comedy or went harder into the sci-fi. But just since a lot of the jokes didn't really hit me that well, and then the sci-fi was just kind of skimmed through, until the very end. It just felt like a weird mix. I don't know. I like them. They're so charismatic together, and like their relationship is what really holds the movie
What are
together.
the actors' name? What are their actors' names again?
It's Sunita
Manny, and John Paul Reynolds.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've told you guys so many times now, I feel like, but he is in a show on HBO called Search Party, and it's incredible. And he's really freaking funny in it. But yeah, I don't know. It was just it felt like it was a little too non-committal on anything to really. So none of its aspects really hooked me that well. Besides just them being silly and cute together, I liked all that, and I think the last 20 minutes are really solid, and it really it's like, okay, this is an alien movie. Like we gotta get into that gear now, and I thought that was a pretty fun series of events, like the last 20 minutes, everything that. As they actually started to explore like what the creatures do, and like their weird like gases that they put out, and like just the different things that I don't know how spoilery we should get, but all the stuff that happens in the last 20 minutes, I thought were at least interesting places for the movie to go. I just
wasn't your favorite?
Yeah, it was just kind of right down the middle for me.
I actually thought this movie was delightful. I quite enjoyed it. I found the characters to be super cute. I found the movie to be a breeze. It was super fun. I just thoroughly enjoyed hanging out with these two characters, and they have such a fun, cute relationship. And I wasn't gut bustingly funny, but I thought it was delightfully funny. And I think a lot of the comedy came from poking fun at millennials and their millennialness and millennial behaviors, but at the same time, I don't think it was ever mean about it. I don't think it was like overtly calling millennials stupid or anything. It was just like showing a lot of the quirks that that millennial relationships have. And I thought there was a lot of really fun scenes with that kind of thing, like the gun scene, like where they're talking about getting the gun from the basement. Like there was a lot of really fun stuff like that. But
one just popped in my head, Sean. That was like the catalyst for the whole movie, is just them on their phones on the couch, and she looks over and just like with such a disgusted look and just slaps it out of his hand.
Yeah.
And it just cuts and you don't know what's happening. And then they decide to like get away from technology.
Yeah, no, because they like had that drunken conversation the night before, but then the next morning they're both just sitting there on the phone, and she just like slaps his phone out of his hand. He just goes,
so good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
but them having like sex, and then like before that, and then it gets interrupted, but then she just gets on her phone as well, and
they just forget they were.
So much good poking fun.
Yeah.
Millennials.
Yeah, it was just, they were so cute. They're so fun to watch. And then I even, I I even liked how long it took to get to the sci-fi premise. You know, I really enjoyed just hanging out with them. And then it was kind of like when they kind of ran out of things to do with just the two of them, then they started slowly bringing in the sci-fi stuff, like very slowly, because it really starts with just like, you know, the guy waking up in the middle of the night, like, what does he say? He's like, get out of here! Get out! Get out of here! It's so
Such
funny.
a good actor.
And then like just the puff, I forget what they call it, the puff,
Poof.
the poof, just sitting on the floor is like, did you move that there? Is that been here? Yeah, it was just, it was a ton of fun, and just a long series of really fun and interesting scenes.
I agree with you, Sean. I'm pretty much like equally with you. And honestly, like this might have been like my favorite of the 4 movies we watched. I think Kajillionaire was a better movie, and like for sure. But like Save Yourselves seems like a movie that like I might go back to a bunch, you know, or like I might like recommend to people a little bit easier, you know, just because I mean it was 90 minutes. It felt like a breeze, you know, it felt like so easy to watch, and I liked how much it made fun of them. Like it did the right amount of making fun of millennials without either like it was poking, but it wasn't like swinging. You know what I mean? Yeah. It wasn't like striking any big blows. It wasn't trying to make a big point about millennials. It was just like, this is kind of silly, guys. Like this, and then, you know, the whole plot of how they like, you know, they literally like set up they set voicemails that are like, we're off the grid. You know, you're not going to be able to get hold of us for a week or whatever. Like, that's a funny in and of itself. And then
then literally the world ends.
And then you like see the space, like something coming in from outer space, and you're like, oh boy, this is going to get silly, you know?
Did you guys know that? What? I didn't see the trailer.
I knew it was an alien movie, but like...
Okay. Because that was a surprise to me when that happened.
That was really well done. Like the subtle stuff in the background.
What movie am I watching right now?
Yeah. And so I really liked the alien designs too. Like I haven't seen aliens like that before. Like first of all, the poof thing was hilarious. Like that joke of them thinking it was an ottoman and then it moving by itself. Like that was really funny to me. And then just like how they moved and what they did was like unlike other aliens that I've seen before. You know, it was a pretty unique concept of like a ball thing that like could shoot out a tongue and that could slice you open, and then they're like harvesting your bodies, and it was pretty interesting. And like, yeah, they probably could have committed to the sci-fi a little bit harder, but I felt like that wasn't even really the movie that they were trying to make. You know, like all the stuff you said about being non-committal, Derek. Like I feel like the movie did commit to being a breeze,
right?
You know,
yeah,
like
no, for sure. Like it would be hard for anyone not to like this movie. There's like it's so digestible.
Yeah,
I like Derek's idea though of going harder sci-fi. I'll say what I thought about the movie, but like the movie was so short. Like I think taking the R rating, making it 10 minutes longer, and having more than just one like scary scenario, which was basically just the one couple at the car, and having like a couple more scenario adventures they run into before the ending, and making it very R and getting them darker. Maybe it happens at night and like twisted stuff happens. I think like I really would have been invested. So I think I agree with you, Derek. Like if they had just pulled it and extended it a little more.
I do think like there could have been more once they got the baby, because they just kind of they got the baby and then
some fucked up shit should have happened, and it would have been.
Well, I don't know,
really
but
cool.
I don't think it should have been fucked up. But
I don't
think the movie ever should have
movie.
gotten to be fucked up. But I do think they probably could have, you know, extended that more, done more like interactions with the aliens or like with other people with the aliens or whatever. But or
the
like
girl that takes their car, their diesel.
Yeah,
cars.
yeah. And like,
wait, is the
reaction
diesel
is so
joke?
funny.
Is it because there's no ethanol in diesel?
Yeah,
is that
that's it.
Okay.
So I agree with you guys. This movie was light, fun, breezy, hilarious. Derek, you said it wasn't that funny. I actually was laughing pretty
Yeah,
consistently.
I mean, you guys are bringing stuff up there. I'm like, it's pretty funny. But
And all the New York stuff at the party before was hilarious. To like, there's just so many good references to like hipsterdom that I really appreciated, and it was really
I think
funny.
part of it, especially in the beginning, is I'm like, God, I've seen 100 million movies that are about New York hipsters, and like, I was just so not wanting to hear anything they were gonna say. But looking at it as just like, I guess that's kind of how I was looking at it going into it, and I was just like kind of eye rolly, like I get it, like New York has a lot of hipsters, and that's all there is. It's like just hipsters. It's the only movie anyone can make about New York right now is hipsters in New York. But I mean, yeah, taking it out of that context and looking more at just like millennials and their obsession with phones, it kind of tweaks it a little bit, makes it a little bit funnier, I think. And there's definitely some moments like, I don't know, I was gonna say that night, him waking up at night, like I wish they did that more. Even like that was definitely the thing I laughed the most at. They did, but like, I don't know. I laughed every time, and it didn't really go anywhere.
Too. Like,
I thought it would have been funnier.
The last one, it was like there's a lion in the room. Like it becomes a creature that he's yelling at, right? Like,
No, then the last one, it was like a guy with the puff hat on, and the poof hat on, and he's like telling him, you know, just give in, just come over to it, or I forget what it was. But.
Yeah. Different than you, Nick, I actually had an opportunity to recommend this movie compared to some of the others I watched this month, and I kind of was just like, even though I enjoyed all of it, it just like wasn't. I don't know. It just wasn't like you said, Derek, fun enough of anything for me to be like, you have to watch this. Like, I would never tell someone to go to a movie theater and like sit down and watch this, or I don't know.
It wouldn't be a have to watch, but I think
maybe if it was free on Netflix as opposed to a rental.
I definitely did recommend this to someone though. I didn't say I didn't. Like I definitely I don't know. Someone was like, "Watch anything recently?" And I was like, "Actually, I think that you'll love this movie. Save Yourselves, because you're into the concept of getting off your phone and going into the woods. So you're gonna dig. And then imagine if you did that and an alien invasion happened. How great is that?
Yeah.
You know.
Did the last 2 minutes land for anybody?
Well, that's what I was just about to ask. Yeah,
it was a bit.
I loved it, and then nothing happened.
Yeah,
like it's a concept
I was like,
that
this is so cool, and then they're just up there, and they're like, "Are we saved?" And then it kind of ends. I was like,
That's part of.
I felt like they wanted to take it to the furthest sci-fi concept, but then that's all they wanted, and they didn't figure out what to actually do.
Yeah, that's why. Part of why I think
I don't know what to make of it.
I think they would have benefited by pushing deeper into the sci-fi, because that ending, everything about the ending is really cool, but it just doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with anything. So
yeah, it doesn't matter. That's a good point.
Yeah, I agree with Sean completely about that. Like, I love this. Oh, the movie's over. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Going on with the rest of my day now.
Yeah.
So, cool. So yeah, that was Save Yourselves. I feel like we should move on to the next movie, but again, like we're pretty good and mixed on this one. You know, it's some of us thought it was very recommendable and a good time, and Brandon, Derek are kind of like maybe if it's free. I mean, you guys didn't say that, but I read between the lines.
Yeah. Derek said that with his eyes.
Yes.
Because I can see him now.
So going into our final movie choice is Brandon's. And how are we going to do this, man? So you originally chose Hillbilly Elegy, the new Ron Howard movie. And you did that out of what you felt was peer pressure, that someone needed to cover that movie because it's the new Ron Howard movie. And he's a big-time director. And we need to have at least one movie from a big-time director. And then the movie...
Big cast.
Yeah, and big cast. Glenn Close, Amy Adams, who's one of my all-time favorite actresses. Like, I love Amy Adams. And then the movie kind of started coming out. Buzz started coming out, and it was like, man, critics hate this movie. It's one of the most reviled movies of the year. So you promptly were like, "Hey, I'm gonna you watched it. I watched it too. I don't think
It was
Derek
free on Netflix.
It was
and
free on
yeah,
Netflix. So we watched it, but then you chose to switch your movie to a different one, Possessor. Real quick, I do think that we should mention Hillbilly Elegy since we both watched it. Do you want to just like say really quick why you didn't like it, and I could say what I thought about it, and then we can talk more about
It's an
Possessor?
awful movie on almost every level. Like Ron Howard forgot how to make a film during the production of this movie. It's like scene to scene, things are rough, awkward, stumbling left and right. It's just bad, and I was shocked. It's one of the worst movies I've seen this year, and I don't even the great cast couldn't save it. Yeah, there were some scenes where I just could not believe they were allowed to be in this movie. They were so rough, and I sent recordings of a few of them for you. Yeah, what'd you think, Nick?
Not the audience. You definitely hated it more than I did. I didn't think it was as much of a train wreck as other movies. I've seen a lot of people on Letterboxd give it like 1 star and stuff, and I mean I'd probably give it 2.5 honestly, which for me a 3 is like average movie. So basically I have it below average. I thought there was a lot of bad about it, but I honestly think my general opinion about Ron Howard is that he's like the most competent director. Like he doesn't really make great movies. He makes like good movies. Like he makes like the most solid movies. Like he knows how to make a solid movie. That's why they brought him in for Solo when they didn't like what creative force Ben and Miller were doing. And is that who it was?
Lord
did I say
Miller.
their
I think
names
it's
right?
Steve.
Lord Miller.
Lord Miller. But yeah, so to me it was like a totally competent movie, but I just thought that the tone and the like perspective was off. It's a movie about being poor in Appalachia, and I felt like the thing was like Ron Howard, I feel like, has never been poor in his life, and doesn't really totally understand that perspective, and couldn't really tell that story in a true sort of way. And I don't know, I just felt like I never got a sense of the place. And I felt like the place was supposed to be important. Like he kept like the main character kept talking about place, and I never really got
Hillbilly Eulogy, and you get such a little
Elegy.
sense of the strength of what that should mean.
Like that could have been anywhere, like as opposed to like I don't know, the Peanut Butter Falcon, which like you definitely got a sense of that place. Like that place had so much character like coming out of it, and this is like, like it just felt like it could have been anywhere, honestly. And I thought that I did think that there was some good acting. I thought Glenn Close was actually pretty good in it, but the movie does the thing where it's like present day and then it does flashbacks, and as the movie went along I thought the flashbacks were pretty decent, pretty good, but then I felt like the present day stuff was like pretty awful. Like I just like did not get into like the present day stuff. Like I couldn't understand why he was doing why the main character was doing the things that he was doing and stuff. So would not really recommend it. It kind of to me screams like awards bait. It's kind of like I mentioned that earlier, where it was like, like Amy Adams hasn't ever won Best Actress, and it kind of felt like she's trying to be really dramatic to like get Best Actress, and it's like,
But she still won't, because I think this movie didn't fake anybody.
yeah, I don't think this one can beat. I think she has a better chance of winning a Razzie with this one than Academy Award. Which is too bad. But anyway, let's go into Possessor, which is the movie that you switched to. So take it away.
Possessor. This is Brandon Cronenberg's first film?
He has one more.
Looked it up.
Second film. Yeah. Anyways, as you said at the beginning of this podcast, legendary son of David Cronenberg, who is a very infamous director with a lot of horror films that are incredible.
famous.
This IMDb synopsis of this film is: Possessor follows an agent who works for a secretive organization that uses brain implant technologies to inhabit other people's bodies, ultimately driving them to commit assassinations for high-paying clients. This concept is so cool. It's always fun, like diving into a sci-fi movie that has like its world kind of figured out and its concepts figured out. And this one does a great job with it. Like, I feel like I could have watched like a 10-part series on this where every episode is a different assassination through this concept, and it slowly builds a world around it. Like, it is just so cool. So cool. So right away I was kind of hooked on that like story element of it. I guess this movie got a lot of really great buzz. Slash Filmcast raved about it. I kind of wanted to contrast this with some of the movies we picked before. Yeah, it's still an indie, but it's way different than Kajillionaire and Save Yourselves and 40-Year-Old Virgin. So I was pretty happy to pick Possessor for something dark, sci-fi, and heavy as fuck. So I'm glad this movie delivered on those fronts. I thought the style of this film was really, really good. When it got into the like cerebral, mind-melding visuals and the way they decided to like, I mean, it's right there on the poster, which is so creepy looking. But when the movie goes there, it's just like visually super impressive. The lighting, the color grading, the blood, the gore, everything they do, especially in the last third, is pretty fascinating visually. I think the movie, I've said this about a few today, the movie should have been longer. Really should have been longer. This movie was short. It was an hour and like 35 minutes before credits rolled.
45, I think, from what I remember.
Before credits rolled. And I think there was a moment in this film where someone edited it, like it was when they teleported to the other person's like real life family, and our main character was suddenly in a different part of the country or the world. I don't know how we got there. And I felt like there was so much missing, because what happened right after that in the climax was just like way too much for me to handle on the amount of fucked up stuff that was about to happen once he did that. I'm going to keep saying teleporting. I think the movie should have slowed down, given some time for those two characters' brains to like interact with each other, and then deliver on that really twisted climax, which I actually thought was a great climax, but I thought it just got there out of nowhere, and it was just more blood and more killing, and it kind of took me out of it. So that's kind of my mixed feelings. I was super into everything about this movie except for that one nit to pick. Maybe it's more than a nit for me, but
in the same town. Because he
I don't know. They said she had to get on a plane to go to work, so I don't know where her work was or where this guy was.
If I would call it teleporting, yeah,
it was just a smash cut.
Yeah, it was a smash cut, and he traveled to, her place.
They had done that. He had traveled there earlier in the movie too, and was able to go back home still that same night. He was just like late getting home from work or whatever. Remember that?
David Abbott?
She.
Yeah.
He, she.
Yeah.
She went
he comes home and
like
his girlfriend's having like a dinner party with her friends, and she's like, "Oh, I almost called the cops because I was worried about you." And that was, he had gone to just like look at the family through the window.
It was when she was in control.
Yeah. So it must be.
It was just like a quick little montage-y thing.
There's a lot to think about in this movie.
Yeah,
and a lot to discuss.
Hard to kind of keep track of
the timeline, who's who. I still don't have it all figured out.
I kind of agree a little bit with you, Brandon, but it's like the whole ending worked for me. I think this movie was an absolute visual feast, and that really is what pulled me through it. I like actually after I watched the movie, I talked to Kelly about it, and I kind of told her. She asked what it was about, and I kind of told her what it was about, and she was like, "Well, I thought it was a horror. Like what's horror about? It's just like it's a really interesting sci-fi concept and a sci-fi premise, but then it doesn't really sound much like a horror film." And then I like showed her a couple scenes, and she's like, "Oh shit!" And it really is. It's a
brutal.
visual horror. Yeah. It's not really like because I kind of knowing a bit of the premise, knowing that it was expecting it to be a horror, and knowing the title of it, I thought it was going to be like the past possession people who she possessed were going to come back, and it kind of was, and like start to haunt her, like start to possess her, like she was possessing them, and then you'd get all this creepy horror elements to it, and it doesn't really get into that, but it's a visual horror film, and like the way that it does the violence and the blood, and the way that it does like the way that it portrays these super crazy abstract sci-fi psychological concepts in a entirely visual way is horrifying to watch. It's pretty terrifying, but so creative and interesting, and like it does kind of harken back to like his dad, like with The Fly, like the body horror and the way that they do the practical effects in early David Cronenberg movies, like in this movie with the wax.
The wax hands and faces that melt, and then like when they're like their faces are like attached together, and she's trying to pull herself out of his body, and they visualize that through like her like disconnecting from his face and like ripping her face off of his face, and the way that they show anyway, that was what really worked for me and really pulled me through the movie. I kind of agree, Brandon, where it's like there wasn't much of a struggle. She was like, you knew that she was having troubles maintaining control over this possession, but you didn't really get a good sense of that struggle between her and him until maybe that one little quick thing where he walks into the room when it's, when she's recalibrating or whatever. But like, that struggle wasn't really there. But I think everything else about the movie worked really well. And I totally agree. This would be such a fun concept to do a series on, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I echo everything you guys just said. It's just a dark, like, upsetting movie to get through. Like, I'm happy to see like how good this guy is, though. Like, because across the board, like, this is top-notch filmmaking. Like, and it's cool to see. Like, I feel like his dad, like, in those kind of movies, are kind of a rare breed of like someone that has like the technique to like make a quality film, but also like loves like the practical, like doing like practical horror stuff, I feel like that's kind of an older concept that's coming back now. And it's cool to see that, like, God, like after watching this, like he's like straight up to the top of like some of the best, like this. It's so,
yeah. Well, his last film was 8 years ago, so
yeah, right.
We can wait till 2028.
Well, hopefully this like
for his third
Kickstarter.
I don't know how well this is being received. Is anyone?
I think critically people are liking it a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really say how much money it makes or anything like that nowadays. But I think critically people
love
have
if
been
this
talking about
kickstarted
this
his
a lot.
career.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Derek, I mean, that's something.
Yeah,
That's really something to think about.
It's hard to like quantify where I stand on the movie. I know like I appreciate it a lot. there's like, pick any scene out of this movie. It's gorgeous, but it's also like one of the most upsetting things I've seen in a long time. And they took that step in like the final act of showing things that they don't normally show in movies, cut before certain things happen. In this movie, they're like, no, I mean, it's fucking dark. Like, we're going to those places. And I think the main character's story arc, at least what they kind of allude to in the very end, is really dark and upsetting too. But it's an interesting character for sure. But I don't know if you guys got, without spoiling anything, I've kind of got that because of how everything went down, now she will be like the perfect agent kind of thing. Do you guys kind of get like they kind of hint at like she has these attachments that are holding her back throughout the whole movie, and like they kind of hint at like, because she's so fucked up and so many bad things happen, that like now she'll be even better at like doing the horrible things she does. It's kind of what I got from it, which is an interesting.
I think I was such in a daze that I didn't really get much story out of like the last final scene.
Right.
I was just too fixated on the blood and gore, and I would have to rewatch to see like what it meant for those two characters who were intertwined.
Right.
Well, I think I got something a little different from that too. I think that definitely makes sense. When I was watching it, I got that it was because like the scene is mirroring the scene in the opening of the movie where she's like, after coming out of it, she is remembering what objects are hers and what objects are not hers. And so it's, I think as she was looking at this thing that she assumed was hers, she was questioning whether or not it was hers.
That's kind of
getting too into.
Right.
That's how I took that scene.
Yeah, I mean, I did too. I guess it's kind of like they obviously don't answer the question. Mm-hmm. So there's no.
I just noticed that those were supposed to be her possessions, as she is possessing other people. I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
Are those her possessions? Is she possessing other people's possessions?
You had to step away.
Yeah, sorry, my I had to I didn't think I looked down and my computer was at 4%, even though it was plugged in, and even said it was charging. And so
we're now pretty far into the discussion of this movie. What did you even think to begin with?
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I'm probably the weakest on this movie at this point.
Yes, we did it.
Finally.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't hate it. So I watched it for Horror Movie Month, so it's been a few weeks, since I've seen it. But like I said, I watched a few Cronenberg movies over Horror Movie Month, and I have kind of a weird I don't want to say relationship with Cronenberg, but his father, David Cronenberg, but The Fly is one of my favorite horror movies. I love The Fly. And then a few years back I watched Videodrome, which was which is another one of his most acclaimed movies, and I thought it was amazing. The special effects, the weird story, just the whole vibe of it, I thought was great filmmaking. But I don't even like thinking about that movie. It has it just has a gray tone in my head. I don't think I could recommend it to anyone. I don't ever want to watch it again. I don't even really like talking about it. Just talking about it right now even honestly makes me a little uncomfortable. But maybe that was even part of the point of the movie. It's just kind of weird movie that way. And this Horror Movie Month, I kind of fell in love with Cronenberg. I watched The Brood, which is becoming one of my favorite horror movies. I watched Scanners, where the dude's head blows up, fucking so good. And so then I was like, Possessor, it's getting great reviews. I'm excited to watch it. And to me, Possessor had kind of the same vibe as the other one, Videodrome, where it's pretty gray most of the movie, not color wise, but it's just it's a pretty dour movie, and it's really slow, and it just kind of like it's kind of moody with some really awesome special effects and a whole sci-fi plot. And looking at the plot on paper, it's super interesting. Like I love the world that they set up. I love that it's about I love how when she does possess that guy, the Josh Hartnett lookalike, he like his job is to like basically like work for someone like Google or something, but he's like just basically spying into webcams doing data mining, and he's like looking into different people's rooms and like examining their curtains or whatever. And that's like a pretty like interesting concept, but the movie like doesn't really care about that. I feel like the movie hardly cares about anything, honestly. I feel like it's set and it sets up all these things and it creates a really interesting world, but really it's like about like the possessing sort of like concept. It like sticks to its concept. And I echo everything you guys said. I love the special effects. Super great. It's really, really interesting stuff. But I'm also like echoing what Derek said, where like the ending was kind of too upsetting for me, honestly. Where like I love horror movies. And what I took out of my last horror movie month, I don't mean to be like talking about horror movie month too much, but like what I took out of it, my lesson learned was I need to watch more horror movies. Like I love this genre too much to only watch in October. I should be watching horror movies all the time because like I get so much out of the creativity of horror movies, and that's what this movie was. Like it was so much creativity like in one place, but like the tone didn't vibe for me. Like the tone didn't work for me. It made me uncomfortable, and the movie might have been trying to do these things, but I didn't like that. And the ending was too brutal. And I've heard of this happening, and I mean I've been talking about for years. My lane is 2.5, and ever since she was born, I'm like sensitive about certain things, and I've heard about this happening with horror movies though, specifically where people like they can't appreciate aspects of horror the same way as they used to because of certain sensitivities, and like I have that sensitivity, and so right when that happened, I was like, fuck this movie. I was just totally like not a fan, don't like this. And it kind of like connected all the pieces of the gray vibe, the like dourness, just like the whole thing kind of just like was like, okay, now when I think back to that movie, I don't think about the sci-fi concept, I don't think about the cool stuff, like I don't think about the special effects. Hell, I'll go back to watch The Brood like 100 times before I'll think about this movie again, just because like it just, I don't know.
Watch The Nightingale 100 more times before you go back to this movie.
Man, The Nightingale was also extremely upsetting, but at least that was like a revenge movie, and I could like look away for that one shot and you could feel it coming. And this movie was like, that was the climax, like that was like the point of the movie in some ways. But so I hear you though about Brandon Cronenberg though. Like I'm pretty interested in what he does next, and I hope that he keeps making movies. And like honestly, if he's anything like his dad, of course he's gonna make movies like this. Like looking at David Cronenberg's filmography, yeah, there's like a few movies that are like the top of body horror, like great movies. And then there's like Videodrome works for a lot of people, but it doesn't really work for me. But then like there's other movies like Crash that are just kind of weird. Like what was that? Like people getting erotic, getting turned on by car accidents, like what? And so I hope that Brandon Cronenberg keeps making movies because I will be very interested. I just don't think I'll ever watch this movie again or talk about it very much.
Yeah. I like to think that that's like a line that like filmmakers have to decide if they're willing to cross it, because it is something, especially like if you have children stuff, it gets in great, like you don't want to see that kind of imagery because it'll ruin the whole movie for you. And so I think that is like a choice you have to make. Like, are you okay with knowing that this could like just immediately be the only thing anyone thinks about when they think of your film? There could be a fairly large part of your audience that feels that way,
Yeah, I mean,
so
me and
it's
Shannon were
like-
just watching Titanic. And there was like they definitely show like a dead baby in the freezing cold water, and it's like we were both like and
The children curling up on the bed as the water's sweeping under them,
Yeah.
crying.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I feel
So,
like when you make a movie like Possessor, you're not making it for everyone. Like
right.
even without that.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and I'm very aware of that, and like I know, watching horror movies, I'm aware that like I'm gonna see some fucked up stuff, and honestly, I don't mind most of it. Like I love body horror. I love like I get like excited when there's like blood and guts in movies, but it was like more of like the combination of like the slow vibe and the climax that
I have to say, I loved that ending, just the twist of that ending. I'm not going to say it, but I really like that twist. Like watching it, and then the kid says the thing. I was like, oh,
yeah. I mean, plot
that was really
wise,
cool.
I think like it kind of softens the blow. Like, I mean, it's still really upsetting, but I think they did a good job at like. It's like there is like a worthwhile like cool thing we're doing with this. At least it's not just like a throwaway shock value thing. It is like definitely there for shock value, but at least they kind of do something with it. It's not just like a completely just I'm edgy. Look what I'm doing.
Yeah.
totally.
So I can
That's
kind
true.
of
Very true.
appreciate that a little bit. But
Anyway, so
it's good. I really like the movie.
Possessor, it's available for digital rental. If you're into body horror and some really messed up stuff, very much recommend from these three, right?
Yeah.
Cool sci-fi body horror, interesting stuff. Possessor. So with that, let's close up the episode real quick. I want to do something different for this episode, guys. What was your favorite or best of the 4 movies we talked about this month? Brandon?
Kajillionaire with Possessor close second.
Okay. Derek?
Kajillionaire by quite a bit for me.
Sean?
I mean, my favorite would be Save Yourselves. Yeah. I really like Possessor, though.
Cool.
Possessor probably the most interesting.
I think I said mine earlier. I think Save Yourself was maybe my favorite, but Kajillionaire was definitely a better movie. Okay, cool. Well, real quick, let's go over what movies we're gonna do for next month. So we're gonna do it a little bit different next month. I think we're actually gonna record early. Because there's a bunch of movies coming out in December. It's a big movie month. It's all getting exciting, guys. Even though the theater isn't coming, we can't go to the theater. We're still like, there's some big movies coming out. I'm so excited for December. Been waiting all year for this.
I'm so excited to have an exciting month for movies.
Yeah, so we're gonna do our 4 movies that come out early in December, and then we're not gonna do the movies that come out around Christmas, and then we'll do another episode early January for some of those Christmas movies. So Sean, what movie are you picking?
I am picking the movie Wolfwalkers. So I actually let me pull up his information real quick. I didn't come prepared. Tom Moore is the director. Who some of his other movies are this Song of the Sea and The Secret of Kells, which I've seen both of them before, and I actually recently rewatched both of them, and I love these movies so much, especially Secret of Kells. Like I just like a couple weeks ago rewatched it, and my God, that movie is so good. So I'm really excited for Wolfwalkers. Also, the studio did The Breadwinner.
Academy Award winning.
Afghani. What's that?
Did it win? No, it got nominated though, didn't it?
Yeah. I think but yeah. So The Breadwinner, the Afghan movie. The studio did the animation for that as well. But yeah, I'm just really excited for this movie. The premise is a young apprentice hunter and her father journey to Ireland to help wipe out the last wolf pack. But everything changes when she befriends a free-spirited girl from a mysterious tribe rumored to transform into wolves at night. Yeah,
Interesting.
So really excited about that movie. I've been wanting to.
Apple TV Plus free.
I thought this movie was coming out in like October, so I was going to pick it in October or even September or something. But yeah,
Well, I think it did come out in theaters,
Yeah.
select theaters,
Yeah.
but now it'll be available
It
on
came
Apple
out in
TV
UK.
Plus. So, Brandon, what movie are you picking?
I am picking a film called The Nest. This is a film by Sean Durkin. He did this really big, critically acclaimed film, Mother Mary Marcy.
Martha
Mercy May Marine, which people really love. Anyways, it's supposed to be a great director. It's starring Jude Law and Carrie Coon. Interesting cast. Slash Film Cast podcast loved the hell out of it. It was literally one of the most raved reviews I've heard them do all around. All 4 people on that episode were like obsessed with it. So I'm excited for all those reasons. Can't wait. And it's just a video on demand rental anywhere.
Okay.
oh yeah, Wolf Walkers is Apple TV Plus. If we didn't say that, did we say that? I don't know.
I said it. I don't think
Okay.
you said it. But Derek, what about you?
We are all finally, I don't think any of us have seen Tenet yet, right? Yeah, so finally Tenet's coming home, or coming to home video. Christopher Nolan's, who's like the movie everyone was banking on bringing back the film industry. But yeah, so it's coming home, so we're all going to watch that, and we're watching it because Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, we're breaking Christopher Nolan's heart by all watching it at our homes instead of in the theater. But Chris, it wasn't safe for us to go back. So
it was our fault. We didn't. We failed at COVID, and
yeah, we didn't earn it.
we did not earn it
As a society. So we can't see in theaters. So hearts are
This is our
broken.
punishment.
So
be all right.
I'm pretty excited though. Tenet, so we'll be able to watch that on video on demand or Blu-ray or whatever because it'll be available. I'm picking the movie Mank. It is David Fincher's new movie, who's one of my favorite directors. He did The Social Network and Fight Club and Seven, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, bunch of great movies. And this movie is going to be right up on Netflix. So speaking of Orson Welles, this movie is about the writer of Citizen Kane. So, I don't really know much more about it, but it's going to be on Netflix, and I'm very, very excited about this movie.
It's like head-to-head battle. Like we always talk about, for some
I was
reason,
just
Nolan
thinking that. It's so weird that they
and
tend to...
Fincher
Totally,
go like
we do,
head-to-head a
don't
lot.
we?
Yeah.
They come
Who's
out
better, Nolan or Fincher?
Yeah.
We always talk
it's like
about
always
that.
a thing.
Do
Now,
we?
same month.
same on...
This will
Yeah.
determine it. This is it. This is the deciding factor.
At some point, we made a list. I don't know if you
We
guys,
did.
if Derek and Brandon. Yeah, okay. We
It's
made
like
a
a
list
1-to-1.
that it
Still
was
have
like David Fincher and Chris Nolan power ranking, like just their movies
I
together.
think they have the same quantity of films, too. They're like almost one
pretty
for
close.
one all the time. Yeah.
Fincher kind of hasn't made one.
Yeah,
in a
he
few
did some
years, so I
TV
think-
for a while, I know. But
Yeah.
yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
So yeah, I'm
It's always a
excited
fun
for this one
discussion,
though.
yeah.
I love Fincher. So
This
okay,
feels
cool. So then,
different for Fincher, too. So it'll be interesting.
and then
it
for
does.
Film Club, our last thing is our Film Club segment. And all 4 of us. So now it's back to Sean, who did our first Film Club segment. Sean, which movie are you going to force us to watch?
I am going to force you. I think you guys know. I wasn't so subtle about it earlier in the month when I asked you guys, but I'm going to do another animated movie. One of the great animators of all time. His first movie, Hayao Miyazaki's Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. This is. I was so surprised that I was just looking at it on Letterboxd and none of you guys had reviewed it or put it on there. And then I texted you guys and asked if any of you had seen it, and none of you guys had seen it. I was super
That's cool.
surprised.
I'm excited.
It's my third favorite Miyazaki movie, and
After Spirited Away.
yeah. So
Is
I
there
mean,
second?
my power ranking is Princess Mononoke, Spirited Away, Nausicaa. And
Cool.
then Totoro.
Hey, is this appropriate? Is this movie appropriate to watch with my my 2.5-year-old, because she's
Yep.
obsessed with My Neighbor Totoro right now? Like obsessed with it.
It's more so. I mean, yeah, it's definitely appropriate. It's a more heavy, or it's not heavy, but it's like it's not as kiddie as My Neighbor Totoro. It's his pretty much his only sci-fi movie. Like, I know Castle in the Sky is kind of sci-fi, but it's also very fantasy-y. But yeah, it's his only sci-fi movie. It's his first feature film, and I really strongly think that if he had done this later in his career, it would probably be his best film. And yeah, I absolutely love the movie.
Can't wait.
This should be on
good pick.
HBO Max then, right? They have
Yeah,
this whole
it's
library?
on HBO Max. So
Nice.
Nice,
Still
you got it,
that.
Nick.
Yes.
really excited.
All right, cool. Well, great. Great episode, guys. Thanks for sticking with and watching these movies. And yeah, I'm excited for next month. So this has been the Monthly Movie Dispatch, and y'all keep watching.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.